We're now crossing to Erica Mandel, founder and director of Middle East Political Information Network and senior editor for security at the Jerusalem Report. Thank you very much, Mr. Mandel, for your time. So let's begin with a fresh Wall Street Journal report that Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz showed U.S. President Joe Biden a list of security agreements Israel has with countries in the region, including some recently inked with Arab countries not in the Abraham Accords. What do you make of it?
Well, there has been for a long time, I'm talking years, agreements, whether written or not, the coordination, defense, security, intelligence of, for example, Saudi Arabia, which is the one everybody focuses on. And they're becoming, it doesn't really matter if something is signed or not. I think what is more important is that you're creating this new regional anti-missile, anti-Iranian defense network. And if America can bring this back, all together to make this happen. And America is doing that through CENTCOM, since Israel has joined it. And now you have integration of all types of electronic sensors. So it's taking it to the next level. So you have things like the X-band radar in the Negev. You have the sea-based Aegis system in the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. And the truth is that putting all this together, all this anti-defense system for Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Israel, what other countries that are threatened by Iran, maybe I'll say something that maybe people aren't thinking of. Maybe the president is doing all this because he kind of knows that maybe the Iranians will sign a deal, and he's trying to placate all of longtime American allies that he's doing as much as he can if the Iranians basically say yes to America offering them hundreds of billions of dollars in sanctions relief.
So you're saying that we need to take it all in the context of the dynamic negotiations that are currently taking place, whether we are aware of or not. And another fresh report from this evening, Mr. Mandel, which obviously connects to the bigger picture here. Israel's Channel 12 suggesting that despite the big smiles, the security establishment here in Israel is quite disappointed from the lack of a clear-cut American plan vis-a-vis Iran, and the IDF is stepping up its own preparations towards D-Day, if and when. So what do you make of it?
I spoke to one of the leaders of Guardians of Chariots of Fire, which was Israel's major war games. I spoke to him just a few days ago in Israel, and Israel is preparing. A lot has to do here. People hear what they want to hear. This is all about semantics. President Biden said he will use force as a last resort. How does one define a last resort? Or that he, quote, said he has a commitment never to allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. What does that mean? Does that mean until the last screw is put in, that a weaponized, compartmentalized bomb is put on top of a missile? So when we talk about nuclear-capable nuclear weapons, America in the Jerusalem Declaration, and I say this as somebody who's interested, who speaks to Congress on national security interests, has not bound themselves, and we should not bind ourselves in that way. All Israel is really asking us is, please allow us to defend ourselves by ourselves, because our red lines are different. Israel has an existential red line against Iran. In the United States, Iran is a third-rate country, and it's a distant threat. So the key that hopefully Biden saw here is that whether you're dealing with a center-left Lapid or center-right Bennett or Bibi Netanyahu, they are all the same on Iran. Right. And Israel cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The question is, when does one intervene, and how far will Iran go before it ignites Israel, that it has no choice but to attack?
Well, one thing's for certain, next week, another important regional summit here. On the flip side, if you will, Russian President Putin, Iranian President Raisi, and Turkey's Erdogan decided to announce this summit only a day before Biden landing here. Nothing coincidental, right? Especially not timing. Eric Mandel, founder and director of Middle East Political Information Network, thank you as always.